The children of our nation know little to nothing about 9/11, but the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is righting this wrong by helping teachers educate kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction, first-person accounts are told through videos and the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full, scripted curriculum units with background for teachers, a speakers bureau for classrooms, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts and FDNY guides. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact by donating your car or land. Go to T2T.org.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Happy Sunday morning, everyone, or not so happy if you live basically anywhere near New York City or Boston. It's going to be, I mean, I've lived here most of my life, save for 4 years down in College Park, Maryland, but I've never seen a storm like this before. I was around for, I believe it was 1978. There was some huge storm. I was like 6 years old, and that's fun when you're six. You want a lot of snow when you're six. And obviously we had something back in, I want to say 2014, that was 22 inches of snow. And that was pretty brutal. But this is different because obviously we got a big problem with wind coming in. And this bomb cyclone, which if you want to put two words together to really scare people into watching the Weather Channel 24/7 or Fox Weather, I mean, bomb cyclone is almost as scary sounding as tsunami, right? Some words just don't really sit well. And in this case, we're going to have winds 50, 60, 70 mile an hour gusts. So you combine all this snow and you combine that kind of wind, and you're definitely going to have widespread power outages throughout many states, affecting tens of millions of people. So too late probably to get a generator. I got like a old portable one that works good enough to work a couple of essential things within my house. But otherwise, I mean, a lot of people are going to be in a lot of trouble. And, you know, we don't mean to joke about this stuff, but the combination of all of this coming together and the fact that some storms come in and they last, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 hours, maybe 10 or 12. This thing, all right, which already started early this morning after the sun came up. And now, at least here where I am in northern New Jersey, it's going to run until late Monday afternoon. And the heaviest stuff and the highest winds are going to be on Sunday night, early Monday morning when people are sleeping, if they still have their power. So all I could say is just try to get a contingency plan if you can. Try to find maybe hotels that maybe have generators that work in these sort of situations more and more. You know, the large corporate hotels have that option. So I know not everybody can go out there and just afford to stay in a hotel for, you know, a couple nights on the fly. But at the same time, anything you can do, or you have a relative that maybe has a generator, or maybe just start driving west, because the more west you go, the lower the snowfall amounts are. In other words, on Long Island, it's going to be something like 20, 22 inches. Where I am, it'll be about 20, 22 inches because I'm more east in terms of New Jersey and north. But the more west you go, then this is more of an eastern storm out to sea. And as a result, that's where the heaviest stuff is going to come. So be careful out there, everyone. And obviously, I won't say all the obvious things like don't drive if you don't have to and all those things. I have a flag football game this morning that has not been canceled. I should say later today. And it's going to be, I mean, guys, there's a state of emergency. Maybe we do this thing next week, but it's still on. And if we win, possible playoff spot on the line. I won't get into it. It's fourth grade flag football. It's not what you tuned in for. Meanwhile, is our mayor ready? Is he ready for this storm? Because he certainly wasn't for the last one. I mean, finally, when everything melted, it kind of melted. We still had a lot of snow around, but we started to see feces all over the streets because obviously when all that snow sits, I don't know, I want to get into it because, you know, some of you are probably having like a nice breakfast or liquid brunch right now, but just brutal the way this mayor handled it. He got killed all around, even from the left, as an example of, okay, I guess this is what socialism and collectivism looks like. Well, now, Memdani, when this guy speaks, all right, there's 100 things you could criticize, but he absolutely does not exude any sort of confidence whatsoever. Because now he's reading. Suddenly the social media slickness is gone and he's being given statements to read. And here is his pitch as far as what New Yorkers can do here. It sounds almost like John F. Kennedy Jr., ask not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country. Well, in this case, this is about ask not what your shovel can do for you, but what your shovel can do for New York. This is cut number 25. Go.
For those who want to do more to help your neighbors and earn some extra cash, you too can become an emergency snow shoveler. Just show up at your local sanitation garage between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. tomorrow with your paperwork, which is accessible online at nyc.gov/snow, and you can get started right away.
Okay. So I got some questions around this. And mainly that is, let's say I'm a guy that's, wants to help out, or a girl for that matter. And I start shoveling and there's already like existing ice in the ground from the last storm. And it's not exactly even terrain, even if everything is perfect and you just start shoveling. Let's say you throw out your back. Let's say you slip on something and hit your head or a bunch of things. My wife's an ER doctor and she sees more people come in injuring themselves shoveling when they're not having, heart attacks and strokes. Because again, it's a hard thing to do, especially when you're trying to shovel, 1 or 2 feet of snow. Not something that humans, I don't think we're put on this earth to do. So this is what collectivism, I guess, is all about. But if you get hurt, can you sue the city because the mayor asked you to do this? Now, it's voluntary. I'm sure there's some sort of waiver you sign that says, okay, if you get hurt, well, that's on you. But will the city compensate in any way, shape, or form after asking its citizens to pitch in here? But here's the bigger point, which I'm sure you've heard, but let's drive this point home. So Zohran Mamdani, like almost every other Democrat, supports not needing an ID to vote. One of the most sacred things we do as a U.S. citizen, as any citizen, as every major company mandates, must have ID if you want to vote. And Democrats are firmly against this. And obviously we have the SAVE Act that is currently meandering. It passed the House. It probably won't pass the Senate. It's not going to get by the filibuster, which is 60 votes. Many people saying that, okay, blow up the filibuster so this thing could get passed. Because once you have full integrity in elections, then Democrats are going to have a lot of trouble winning the way they did in 2020, for example. Okay, all fair. Kamala Harris, the only states she won were all states that said that you didn't need an ID to vote. Just saying. All right. All that said, well, Democrats require an ID to get into the Democratic National Convention. And when Democrats, 213 of them, voted against the SAVE Act in the House in Congress, they needed an ID in order to get into the building, to vote against something where they say you don't need ID. Just saying. Now, Zohran Mamdani is saying, okay, if you want to sign up and shovel in New York, well, you're going to need to show not one, but 2 forms of ID. 2 forms of ID. Wow. So you want to vote, don't worry about it. You want to shovel, you're going to need ID. And not just your driver's license, but I guess something else like a birth certificate or maybe a passport or something to show that you are who you are. Boy, if that isn't the richest irony you will ever effing hear, I don't know what is. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan weighing in on Mamdani's proposed $127 billion budget. This guy's budget adds $5 billion with a B to the last budget, where there's already a huge budget shortfall. And the only thing he wants to cut is NYPD. Anything that actually helps the community are only things that he would target to pay for all the ridiculous, stupid free stuff that he wants. And here is Rogan saying it the way only Joe can, only a way a Joe can, not named Biden. This is cut number 1. Go.
The New York proposal is 127 billion, so it is more.
Holy crap.
So New York City their budget is more than the entire state of California with Florida. State of Florida with 3 million more people, or 3 times the people.
Holy
proposal, but for this year it would be about the same, because if it's 11 million, that's 116. That's
sure.
The same.
But the point is, it
says it's up 11 billion from the current year.
It's still a proposal, though. He hasn't passed it.
Well, he's not. Yeah, he's a psychopath. Like,
you see,
the amount for migrants is crazy. There should be $0 for illegal immigrants.
But 0. I don't think you can have 0, because if they're going to be there, they're going to be You have to feed them. You have to do something with them. Like literally, if you don't feed them, they're going to be robbing stores. They have to. Human beings need food. What are you going to do?
Get them jobs.
How are you going to get a migrant a job?
Get them a job in Guatemala.
Wouldn't you rather give them food than a job? I don't want them taking American citizens' jobs.
Well, the whole thing's a mess.
The whole thing's a mess. But the point is, you can't just throw them away.
Right.
That's the
Unless
problem.
you're going to remove them from the country.
Right. Unless you remove them, even if you want to put them in jail, that's not cheap.
Right. That costs a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah. So that went back and forth. Rogan says get him a job. I'm kind of with his guest there. Well, I don't want American jobs being taken away, especially if they're going to work cheaper. That obviously is that's why Trump does so well with black voters, as well as it's better than anybody what we have seen since 1972 as far as black vote in the last election, because I don't think blacks or Latinos, for that matter, like the fact their social services are being taken away, that they're paying more for things in this country now, all as a result of Democrats like Zohran Mamdani wanting to feed and house and take care of people who broke into the country illegally. I mean, it's just common sense. Right. So I agree more with get them a job in Guatemala. In other words, deport them. That's the only way you're going to have a budget that actually works in a place like New York City. They had 11 million. I'm seeing 5 billion. Who cares? I mean, we'll get the number right during the break. But any increase is bad when you already have a huge budget shortfall where you're going to expect the feds. Zoran's going to, since he has Trump's number, it's going to be like, hey, look, you can't let your old city, your hometown, obviously Trump grew up in Queens, fail. So we're going to need a bailout, sir. And it's just not going to happen. So something's got to give. And Kathy Hochul, I mean, I never thought I'd say this. God bless Kathy Hochul, because she has said publicly, I'm not raising taxes statewide to pay for Zohran Mamdani's pet projects. She didn't quite put it that way, but it's exactly what she meant. No question about it. Meanwhile, this is the thing with what is going on as far as liberals are concerned. And there are common sense people on the left, and I can name two prominent ones that say things that really, they'll always still vote Democrat. But Fetterman, like in the end, talks a great game. I want to see him start switching votes and start voting on the very things that he says he supports. All right. And we'll see with the SAVE Act, if it goes to the Senate, he says he supports it. Let's see the vote. All right. That's fine. But Fetterman has been a very pleasant surprise to this point. Bill Maher has lasted in broadcasting as long as he has because he does not say things that are predictable, where you know what he's going to say before he says it, and takes the side of every liberal position as if he was given a memo to do it, like everybody on CNN and MS Now. Basically, can anyone go against the tide and just say something that's common sense just once? No, of course not. So when it comes to men playing against women in sports, well, yeah, they'll find a way to argue the 20 side of the 80-20 issue. In this case, this is more of a 90-10 issue as far as voting and needing a voter ID. But Bill Maher obviously has said, no, you need a voter ID in order to vote, and says, no, there should not be men in women's locker rooms. And here is Maher just listing off all the other stupid liberal ideas that are out there. And again, this comes from a staunch liberal, albeit more of an old school one. This is cut number 7. Go.
Don't get what? Abolish the police? Tear down statues of Lincoln? Maybe give communism another shot? Get rid of the border patrol? Get rid of capitalism? White supremacy has never been worse? Gender is always just a social construct? It's okay to have penises in the women's swimming pool in women's prisons? Okay, no, it's not that I'm old. It's that your ideas are stupid.
He just reels those things off, doesn't he? So, and he says these things in front of a Hollywood/Los Angeles live studio audience. Again, The View will say everything that they want the SEALs in the audience think they want to hear. Maher will say things that he just believes in, and you got to admire that. I like a guy with his principles. You're not going to agree with a lot of things that Bill Maher says or feels in terms of his worldview, and especially on Trump, but the guy is honest, and that is a refreshing thing in an industry with so many phonies out there just looking for that next contract and that next retweet and like on social media. This is Joe Concha. Back with so much more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show.
The children of our nation know little to nothing about 9/11, but the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is righting this wrong by helping teachers educate kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction, first-person accounts are told through videos and the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full scripted curriculum units with background for teachers, a speakers bureau for classrooms, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts and FDNY guides. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact by donating your car or land. Go to T2T.org.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So, have you completed or at least completed 50-60% of your bucket list? Well, if you are Bernie Sanders, you said that the world would end, this year. He actually said that in 2020 on a debate stage. Literally, I'll play it for you. You'll see exactly what I mean. Cut number 8, go.
The scientists are telling us that if we don't act incredibly boldly within the next 6-7 years, there will be irreparable damage done, not just to Nevada, not just to Vermont or Massachusetts, but to the entire world. Joe said it right. This is an existential threat. You know what that means, Chuck? That means we're fighting for the future of this planet. And the Green New Deal that I support, by the way, will create up to 20 million good-paying jobs as we move our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. This is a moral issue, my friends.
All right, we get it, Elias. I mean, again, AOC at least gave it 12 years back in 2019. That gives us till 2031 before climate change destroys the earth. And it's ironic saying this as, again, I'm about to be buried under 2 feet of snow, which is already coming down pretty hard. Could even be more than that in some places, 36 inches. The point is that the world is not ending this year, Bernie. And can somebody in media play this back to him? He's on TV enough. Play the clip and say, hey, Bernie, you still believe this is going to happen in the next 12 months? Don't think so. What is happening is the dollar is losing value. Your account balance may look the same, but what those dollars can actually buy continues to shrink. Keeping money in cash means accepting a slow, steady loss of purchasing power over time. It's not dramatic day by day, but over the years, the impact is very real. That's why I look to gold and silver. And when it comes to buying precious metals, I trust Goldline. They've been in business since 1960, and they're owned by a Fortune 500 publicly traded company. Goldline offers competitive pricing on a wide selection of gold and silver products, along with free insured delivery on every order. Their white glove, client-first approach is why I feel confident partnering with them. For my listeners only, Goldline is offering an exclusive discount on historic American gold coins. Call 1-800-757-GOLD and mention Joe. That's 1-800-757-4653. If you reach them after hours, leave a voicemail. They will return your call promptly. Don't wait. This is a limited time offer. Goldline.com. And we'll be back with the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So, AOC, I mean, we talked about it all week, but she's just completely now falling apart as far as actually being criticized in a major way outside of Fox News and WABC Radio New York and other conservative outlets who have rightly been criticizing her for years for saying profoundly, ridiculously stupid and uninformed, misinformed things. We talked about the fact that she said the world would end in 12 years back in 2019 due to climate change, that we needed trillions of dollars in order to save the planet. She also once said, when she was asked, hey, Donald Trump, under him, unemployment is low. Don't you give him some credit for that? And she said, well, the only reason why unemployment is low is because people are working 2 jobs, which is not the way unemployment is calculated. If I work 4 jobs, as I do, that does not bring down the unemployment rate fourfold in my case. No. One person, one job. It doesn't matter how many they have. I don't even have to explain this. You know, my fourth grader understands how unemployment works. And I could go through a litany of things that AOC is either wrong about or completely just out of her mind about, in terms of crying on the House floor when funding through the U.S. Congress was approved to fund the Iron Dome, or help fund the Iron Dome in Israel, that without it, tens of thousands, if not more, people would be dead, innocent people. And Israel itself may cease to exist. Because if you had no missile defense for Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and Iran, for that matter, then, yeah, Israel would not last very long. The Iron Dome has been essential in that. And she cried when it passed, right? She said nothing after October 7, 2023. The person who's on social media every other minute suddenly went silent. Because, well, what's she going to say? She's going to have to criticize, I guess, Hamas, and that's just not going to happen. Anyway, let's do it one more time, shall we? I know I played it a couple of times during the week, but it's just so good, especially the first 20 seconds, which may be the worst 20 seconds since anything Kamala Harris said in 2024 during that campaign, in terms of being completely cringe. And again, this is a person who never thought about this scenario once. What if China were to go into Taiwan? What is the U.S. policy under a President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Here she is in cut number cringe. Go.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such I think that this is this is, of course, a very long-standing policy of the United States. And I think
Elias,
what we are hoping for is that we want to make
it all mishmash from there. Thousand Island word salad. Even like Kamala Harris is like, hey, girl, get coherent, for the love of God. Give me an articulate thought. Anyway, here is Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, who has been on this show, and he will be again. He's just probably the best soundbite in cable news right now. This is cut number 2 on his take on AOC. Go.
Not all crickets. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez went to Munich this week and made some comments about foreign policy. Look, I don't hate anybody, and I certainly don't hate the Congresswoman. But how can I put this? The Congresswoman is kind of like Vice President Kamala Harris, but with more bartending experience. She has never been accused of being a policy maven. You put her in a presidential primary with Elizabeth Warren or Rahm Emanuel, they will devour her like a light snack. I probably shouldn't say this, but she can get me back. Somebody told me a joke today. They said Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez announced today categorically that she is not a moron. And she went on to say she hasn't even been to Utah, much less embrace their religion.
I mean, you need a 2-drink minimum to listen to Kennedy during any interview. It's just one after the other. He's like the gray-haired Sebastian Maniscalco of the Senate. He's awesome. And he will be back on this show, guaranteed. I'm going to reach out to him immediately after today and be like, by the way, we got to get you back. I love the way he says, I say Ocasio-Cortez. It's like tomato, Caribbean. He says Ocasio-Cortez. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. I'm going to start calling her Casio. I think I like that better. President Trump also weighing in on AOC's answer on Taiwan. And again, it wasn't just the answer in Taiwan. She also said that we shouldn't have gone into Venezuela to get Maduro, who was indicted in this country in 2020 and has obviously an arrest warrant out for him and has destroyed Venezuela and is an illegitimately elected president and has poured drugs in this country that has killed people by the hundreds of thousands. She was against that, apparently, because Venezuela is below the equator, and therefore we can't go into, as she called it, invading countries below the equator. Problem is, you look at any globe, any map, Venezuela is as below the equator as Canada and the U.S. It's not. Just saying. Anyway, here's Trump on AOC. Ocasio-Cortez.
You took a kind of a little bit of a swipe at AOC today, and I was just wondering.
Well, her performance was horrible. I was surprised, actually. I didn't know she was stupid.
So how would you have answered the question that she was asked about whether the U.S. should support Taiwan if they're ever attacked by China?
Well, I would have just said, it's none of your business right now, because I wouldn't answer that question anyway. I wouldn't respond to a question like that. That's war. When it comes to war, you don't talk about your strategy. She could have done that very easily. She had no idea. I don't think she knew what Taiwan was. That was the problem. But you don't talk about military strategy. She could have taken an easy pass on that one. That was not a good answer. Could be death-defying, because I suspect that'll be used in every campaign for the next 30 years against her.
Trump is so calm in answering that. And that's not BS, by the way. He's done this every time he's asked about, well, will you attack Iran's nuclear facilities if they don't agree to XYZ? And he's like, I'm not telling you that. I'm not going to reveal my strategy. Because other presidents have done that. They forecast it. They telegraph. They tell you exactly what they're going to do before they do it. I'm not doing that. I completely agree with this, right? He's a commander in chief. Don't give up the plan. And I think that reporter thought that he had Trump in a gotcha where Trump would maybe stumble in giving his answer, because it's not the easiest thing in the world to answer. I'll say that. My 10-year-old answered it correctly, I think, when I asked him about it, because sometimes he is around when I am preparing for the show. And he said, oh, well, if that ever happened, then we're not going to go against China with our troops, but we will support Taiwan with weapons. OK, that's fair, because obviously we don't want to engage China, a nuclear power, head to head, our military versus their military, American lives being lost, Chinese being killed. That could escalate to World War III in about 8 seconds. So, yeah, that kind of makes sense. China goes into Taiwan. I hate to say it, but there aren't too many good options there, because their military is probably, it definitely is, if you just look at the numbers, bigger and stronger than ours. Taiwan's not going to be able to defend itself for very long, even with our weapons. So that would pretty much be, it wouldn't be Russia going into Ukraine. Russia's military is kind of like the Vermont, National Guard, not very technologically advanced, not very well trained, especially now. They've lost so many of their top troops, good troops, generals, that they're just basically bringing in North Koreans, for example, those who haven't had any military experience, just throwing bodies at the problem, trying to wear Ukraine down. But as we know, nothing is changing in Ukraine. That is just a permanent stalemate on the Eastern Front, while Ukraine loses generations of men on the front lines. Trump wants peace there. Putin figures, well, this isn't Vietnam. I'm not going to be under political pressure to end this thing. So I'll just keep doing this until maybe eventually Ukraine is out of people. Unfortunately, that's the way that's going to work. Meanwhile, I mentioned Senator Kennedy before and how he has all these great lines. Admittedly, when I go on cable news as well, I got a couple myself that just kind of come to mind. I mostly quote 80s movies and 90s movies, which is a thing that guys my age do. It's just something, and even 70s movies. You go with 1,000. I watched Casablanca, actually, on a plane home last night from Florida. Never saw it before. Never saw it. And there is like 7 or 8 like very quotable things in that movie, especially the whole thing about being shocked that there's gambling going on in this establishment. I mean, I always knew that came from Casablanca, but to see it in context, now I get it completely. Anyway, before we talk about a movie that I believe won Best Picture in 1943, I was reading about it as I was watching it. I have some lines on cable news from time to time, including using the gas station sushi line when it comes to media. And the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, most lawmakers watch Fox, many Democratic ones as well. We're not number one we're number one for a very good reason, because we have more than just Republicans and conservatives watching us, but a lot of people, especially on the Republican side. And all of that said, here's Brendan Carr, the head of the FCC, using my line this week. This is cut number 19. Go.
You had a Democrat candidate who understood the way that the news media works, and he took advantage of all of your sort of prior conceptions to run a hoax, apparently for the purpose of raising money and getting clicks. And the news media played right into it. I think yesterday was a perfect encapsulation of why the American people have more trust in gas station sushi than they do in the national news media.
Okay, let's stop that
this
there.
Was very clear.
Now, here is me. Okay. He didn't quite deliver it the way I did. He kind of had it backwards, but fine. I know where it came from, Carr. Here's Concha on some Fox show. This is years ago, actually. I had Let's see. This is 2023. So I've been using this for a while, and this is cut number 20. Go.
Trust in institutions overall is dropping almost everywhere across the board. I mean, you look at Gallup, right? There's only 3 entities that are polling above 50% in terms of confidence. That's small business, the military, and the police. Then the numbers plummet from there. Trust in banks is at 33%. Public schools, 32%. Organized labor, 28%. Trust in newspapers, 21%. And finally, trust in Congress, just 12%. Gas station sushi polls higher than that. So that's where we're at this point. I mean, no one trusts anything.
All right, we get
anymore.
it. See, you got to say it slower. Gas station sushi is more trusted at this point. I got to admit, I never had gas station sushi. I've only been turned on to sushi recently because my wife, not exactly a carnivore, she is a seafood aficionado and has really gotten me into all these different kinds of sushis. I know that sounds like a pretentious and a diva thing and everything, and apparently it's very healthy for you. Doesn't put on a lot of weight, and some of that stuff is good. I used to go with the Philly roll, which is cream cheese and fish. Hey, I don't know. That can't be too healthy. So she got me away from that, and now I am living the dream. Meanwhile, you got to hear this. So Ed O'Keefe asked Caroline Leavitt this week if she could provide any examples of Donald Trump being falsely accused of being a racist. And she responded with, "You're kidding, right?" So then from there, we've had people come forward to defend Trump on this. And now this montage has been put together of, well, boy, when has Trump ever been accused of being a racist? Well, here's cut number 17. We got a few examples for you. Go.
Where or when does the president believe he's been falsely called racist?
You're kidding, right?
I'm Don Lemon. The president of the United States is racist.
Here's one.
A tried and true, dyed in the wool racist.
I know what Mr. Trump is. He is a racist.
What Trump has always been was a rich, malevolent, really racist man.
We now have a president of the United States who is a racist.
Do you believe President Trump is a racist?
Yeah.
6.
Donald Trump. What's it say?
I think he's a racist.
He is a racist.
7.
The president is
8.
a racist.
Racist.
9.
Racist.
10. 11.
Racist.
12. 13. 14. 15.
I am the least
16.
racist person you've ever met.
All right. Anyway, they call him that, but they don't really back it up with anything outside of, well, he wants to close the border. That's racist? No, that's enforcing America's laws. Oh, he wants to deport immigrants. No, they're illegal immigrants. And yeah, again, it's the law. Well, one black business owner came to an event at the White House for Black History Month, and she did not hold back in her defense of President Trump, who doesn't need any, but, well, here it is anyway, and it is passionate. Cut number 16, go.
I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be stand up for. Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off of him. And Grandma said it.
Do not mess with a grandma. My grandma used to wash me in a sink in Lyndhurst, New Jersey, scalding hot water. And I believe she used like an SOS pad to make sure all the dirt really, really got off. Tough woman. Anyway, let's talk about what isn't tough. And that is the decision to buy gold, because the dollar's losing value right now, people. Your balance may look the same, but what it buys isn't. Holding cash means slowly losing purchasing power over time. That's why I trust Goldline. Goldline has been in business since 1960 and is owned by a Fortune 500 publicly traded company offering competitive pricing and free insured delivery for my listeners only. Get an exclusive discount on historic American gold coins. Call 1-800-757-GOLD and mention Joe. That's 1-800-757-4653. Do not wait. That's Goldline. And this is Joe Concha. We wrap this puppy up on the Joe Concha Sunday morning Tunnel to Towers Foundation show. Back with more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show.
I didn't think the pain from the shingles rash would affect simple, everyday tasks like bathing, getting dressed, or even walking around. I was wrong. Though not everyone at risk will develop it, 99% of people over the age of 50 already have the virus that causes shingles, and it could reactivate at any time. I developed it, and the blistering rash lasted for weeks. Don't learn the hard way, like I did. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
TaxAct's filing software and live tax experts can help small businesses easily knock out their taxes. Actually, our experts can help you find deductions and credits for any sized business. Itty-bitty businesses, medium-sized, really big, mid-sized, small businesses, companies with 0 employees, and mom-and-pop conglomerates. Yep, our tax experts can help all of them. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So you're going to see a State of the Union where President Trump is speaking to half of a chamber, it seems, or it'll be Republicans, I guess the Supreme Court, invited guests, and then Democrats more and more now. The dam is breaking. And since this is a party that conforms only, where they're always just in lockstep with each other and no one could actually just say, hey, maybe this is wrong that we're not attending the joint session of Congress, which is the State of the Union. And if we're there, we don't have to stand or clap, even when, say, a kid with cancer is honored, like what happened last year, stage 4 brain cancer. Trump honors this kid who wants to be a law enforcement officer and makes him a Secret Service agent. And everybody stands on the one side of the chamber, Republicans, and Democrats sat on their hands and couldn't even clap for a kid like that. Unbelievable. And it reflected very poorly on them because they looked petulant, they looked immature, and quite frankly, heartless. So now instead, they're just going to boycott. They're going to boycott the State of the Union because that'll show that they're really fighting by not showing up. Okay, well, anyway, here is the insufferable Senator Adam Schiff of California explaining why. Cut number 21, go.
Donald Trump is violating the law and Constitution, ignoring court orders. He has weaponized the Justice Department to go after his enemies. He is letting loose ICE troops in our streets that are getting people killed. I will not be attending the State of the Union. I've never missed one. I have always gone both to inaugurations and to States of the Union, but we cannot treat this as normal. This is not business as usual. I will not give him the audience he craves for the lies that he tells. I'll be outside the Capitol with Midas touch and move on for the People's State of the Union, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday.
So it'll be with two uber liberal organizations, the Midas touch and move on outside, doing what they do best. I guess, I don't know, it's Festivus, you know, it's an airing of grievances. What's the old saying? Sound and fury signifying nothing, right? So I guess that's what Democrats are going to do. And I can see like MS Now and CNN like doing a split screen of the State of the Union with them singing, I guess, outside the Capitol, protesting Trump. Oh, by the way, he says that Trump has weaponized the justice system against his enemies. No, pal, that was you, literally you, Adam Schiff. So says he's not going to give Trump the audience that he deserves. 45 million people are going to tune in live. The clips will be endless of an empty chamber. This will not be a good decision for Democrats. Anyway, let's get to cut number 9. This is John Fetterman, who will be at the State of the Union, one of the few Democrats that will. And here he is saying, well, again, just being honest about what Democrats are doing and why they're doing it when it comes to the government shutdown. Cut number 9, go.
This shutdown was nothing more than people that are afraid of the base to just explain to them that shutting down the entire DHS will have no impact or make those kinds of reforms for ICE.
And there you go. Just said exactly what everybody knows already, but good he said it on national television, in this case with Martha McCallum and Fox. Okay, here is Donald Trump on Hakeem Jeffries in terms of, well, I guess the Supreme Court for now shot down Trump's tariffs. Of course, he has 80 other options that he could still use to enforce this, so it kind of doesn't mean anything. But anyway, here is Donald Trump on Hakeem Jeffries and his thoughts on tariffs. Go.
Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, has called you a wannabe king.
Why wouldn't him a low IQ?
But why wouldn't
he? Doesn't even know. And I watched him the other day interview. The guy doesn't even know what a tariff is.
I think that may be accurate. pretty sure Hakeem Jeffries doesn't know what a tariff is, because until now, he's never said the word once during campaigning, during any speech, during any interview, which shows you that kind of like AOC with China and Taiwan probably hasn't given even a remote thought to what tariffs can do for an economy in terms of being used for leverage for better trade deals. Anyway, this has been the Joe Concha Sunday morning Tunnel to Towers Foundation show. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're back next Sunday at 11 a.m. And I'm on weeknights now as well, 9 p.m. Eastern time on WABC and nationally syndicated throughout this great country. Until then, guys, hope you do well with this blizzard. And until then, I got 2 words for you. Stay warm. 2 more. Bye-bye.
The children of our nation know little to nothing about 9/11, but the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is righting this wrong by helping teachers educate kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction, first-person accounts are told through videos and the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full, scripted curriculum units with background for teachers, a speakers bureau for classrooms, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts and FDNY guides. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact by donating your car or land. Go to T2T.org.